FCTV viewers. Welcome to another edition of What's Growin On. I'm Jayne Spooner, and I'm a University of Minnesota Master Gardener here in Rice County. And welcome. We're just coming up to spring. We actually had what they called Fool's Spring. And of course, yes, they fooled us, and we've now got some snow. I'm looking out the window right now as I'm taping this, and I'm seeing some flakes fall, and we're back in the defreeze a little bit. But I'm sure just like me and you, when you had that nice warm weather, your thoughts turned to gardening. And this episode today is basically what I like to call my Groundhog's episode, because we're going to talk about seed trials again. This is something I've done every year for the past few years, and it's just information that I can bring to you to talk about the seed trials that the University of Minnesota Extension Service has done. And they've been doing this year of 2026. The seed trials that we're going to be entering in will be its 44th year. So we are constantly bringing you information, and it's not about new varieties. They test a lot of old varieties, heirloom varieties. So we're really looking at what's going to be best for your garden by taking seeds from vegetables, herbs, flowers, and testing them against some of their other like varieties and seeing what's best for your garden. So I always talk about, how many counties are. We've got about 60 counties in the state of Minnesota that participate through this with the master gardeners. But I was also a little curious to see how this is conducted in other states. So I did some Google searching, and I was kind of surprised that there's really only other 6 extension groups out of the states, out of the 50 states that actually do seed testing, and there's 6 of them. Out of the 6, it looks like there's 2 that heavily involve Master Gardeners programs, but the rest of them utilize and ask, in just regular home gardeners, which I'm sure Master Gardeners participate, but it's not just, but it also includes home gardeners, and ours usually run to the Master Gardener program. So anyway, without further ado, I'm going to get into the actual seed trial results. This year they tested 5 vegetables, 2 flowers, and 1 herb. And so it's always kind of fun to just kind of go through these really quick and see what they've got. And so we're going to start out with a mini bok choy. And this year they tested the clear winner was the My Kin Choy Bok Choy. And it went up against Asian Delight, Shanghai, White Stem Hybrid, Hotu, and Toy Choy. Now you take a look at this, and if you're a bok choy fan, most of them you see as being a very large plant. And this is a little bit more small and compact. So if you've got a smaller garden or want to do some container gardening, this is a great variety to try. And it's really easy to start from seed. And it's got, the greens here are very mild flavored and they're crisp. They're good for stir fries, to eat raw, or you can eat them steamed. So a lot of people actually will just cut these in half and just kind of pan fry them, or bake them in olive oil in their oven, or just chop them up and throw them into stir fry. And like I said, they're a smaller plant. Because the plants are smaller, these stems here are going to be a little bit sweeter than a regular bok choy, who can tend to be a little bit bitter because they get so big. So again, to try this for your garden, great especially if you like different Asian style foods. And we've got red beets. Growing up, we planted a lot of beets in our family gardens, and my grandmother was she had a great pickled beet recipe. So this year, the clear winner was Merlin. They competed against a Red Ace, Abrasco, Bettina, Boro, and Bull's Blood. And I've grown Bull's Blood before, and so I'm kind of familiar with the beet family. The globes on them are kind of a medium-sized shape, so they're nice to just either slice, and dice. They're about 3 to 4 inches in diameter, and they have a very high sugar content, so they are going to be a really nice sweet beet. And the glossy green tops of these, they're also edible, so you actually can use the whole plant when you do plant beets. And they're a good choice for fresh eating or roasting, pickling, or you can actually make juice out of it. And actually, we used to grow a lot of beets. My mom would pickle them. And in the summertime, she would actually cook up beets, mash them, and she would throw it into a chocolate cake. So that was the moisture. You hear people using applesauce. Well, my mom would use that, especially in a chocolate cake. It would kind of create a very different, rich chocolate taste to it. So a salute to my mom, how she was very innovative in her baking. And it's, a really good performer for your garden. So, and for an herb this year, they chose just a plain leaf parsley. And it was basically just called plain leaf parsley. And it went up against a dark green plain Italian parsley, a moss curled, which you see like on a lot of dinner plates, a darky green, a giant of Italy, or a minuet. So these are just flat and they're very flavorful and aromatic. And if you're a person, when you're cooking and it calls for cilantro and you have that gene or that taste bud that makes cilantro taste a little soapy, this is what I use in my cooking. If I need to add a cilantro, I'll just substitute it out for this parsley. So you can just take and chiffonade it up, and at the end of the cooking cycle, just throw that in there just to give it that flavor and then just the color of it and everything. So, and it's you can use it fresh or, at the end of the season, take and cut it, hang it, and you can dry it and store it for the winter and use it all winter long. And parsley is also a really good host plant to get swallowtail caterpillars. So it's a good thing for your butterfly garden too, or just your regular herb garden. Parsnip. That's not a vegetable that people grow a lot of. I'm familiar with it. My father-in-law used to like it, especially if you made soups or stews. We'd kind of substitute that out for potatoes. So it kind of is starchy, much like a potato. It has a high sugar content, much like a carrot, so you can kind of interchange them. And the winner this year was Warrior, and it was up against an Albion or a Panorama, an improved hollow core, a Maris model PR 102, or an All-American variety. And this was the clear winner this year. And it's an heirloom variety, and it's known for its good root quality. And it thrives in a rich, deep soil. And you can use it in various ways. You can use it like a mashed potato. You can take and dice it up or make strips of it, and you can throw it on a roasting pan with carrots and potatoes and make a nice roasted vegetable medley. So it's really a very versatile thing. You can kind of swap it out for different vegetables, like for a potato, like a mashed parsnip soup. You can make a parsnip soup out of it by pureeing it. So it's really versatile and something just a little different to try, in your dinner menus. Now, if you're looking to add a little color to your plate and maybe get kids to like their vegetables, they tried an orange cauliflower this year. You've usually traditionally seen them in white, but this is an orange one. There's also a purple variety, and there can be like a light green one. But this orange one, like I said, it's very visually pleasing. So your kids might just go, well, wow, that's kind of cool. I might eat it. It's orange, So the clementine was the firm winner, which is kind of cool because clementine is an orange. And so the color, clementine orange. And it competed against Flame Star, a cheddar, or an orange sunset. It's got a lot of beta carotene in it, so it's very healthy for you. And the heads are very nice and firm. Again, you can eat it raw. You can, take some parsnips, take some this orange cauliflower, throw it on a roasting sheet, and throw it in the oven and have a nice vegetable medley. So this is kind of a fun one to try. And we always talk about eating with our eyes. So to have something of color to add to the rest of your things on your plate, this is going to be kind of a visually pleasing kind of vegetable to have on your plate with, something that's going to be a little bit bland. And like I said, you might get a kid to like cauliflower. And we have a dwarf slicing tomato that they tried this year. And the winner was the Campbell 33 Determinate. And it went up against a Cal Ace VF Determinate, a Mahogany Determinate, and a Snake Bite Dwarf Indeterminate. This tomato was actually developed by the Campbell Soup Company to make, you guessed it, soup. And we know soup is good food, and We're in Lent, so what's the classic meal for people on Fridays? Campbell's tomato soup and a grilled cheese sandwich. I ate a lot of that going to Catholic school as a kid. But it's got medium, bright size, bright red tomatoes. They're usually about 7 to 10 inches. And they're ideal not only for making soups and sauces, but they are good for slicing as well. And it's got a determinate habit of growing. So it means it's going to be smaller in growing a size, and it's going to set its fruit, and it's all going to ripen at one time. And so it's really good for like a smaller garden. It's an early maturing, so it's got 65 to 70 days from the time, this fruit sets to maturing. And it's one thing that's really nice about it. It is crack and disease resistant. And it's an open pollinated heirloom. Now, I kind of wanted to just digress a little minute to talk about the tomato, determinate tomato, and we had one it was tested up against was the indeterminate tomato. So there's a couple of varieties you should be looking for when you're planting. So what is the difference between the two of them? An indeterminate tomato is going to tend to vine. So if you go past somebody's garden, you see huge tomato cages with tall growth of tomatoes and stuff, that's probably going to be a determinate tomato. And because of their size, they're going to require staking or caging. And you might even have to do some pinching along the way to just kind of keep them in control. They don't make good container plants, so you want to make sure you've got a place in your regular garden to put an indeterminate tomato. And they're going to ripen over time. So this is kind of what you want to have in your garden if you want, tomatoes for salads or bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich. That's going to ripen consistently over the season, so you have a constant supply of tomatoes in your garden. And the determinate style tomato, those are the ones, like the Campbell 33, that is more compact and ripen at the same time, which is really nice if you want to make big batches of sauce or soup or whatever. So they're all going to ripen at the same time. It doesn't mean that you can't use the indeterminate for canning and preserving. It's just you might have a few come in, maybe stick them in the freezer and wait till they come in at the end of the season, do your whole canning process. So I get asked that question a lot, what's the difference between the two of them? So that's just a little guide for you. So if you've just got a small area and you want some tomatoes, try the determinate. You might be giving tomatoes to everybody else around you because you can't eat them that fast, but so be it. And then we're on to flowers, which kind of one of my favorite. I love the vegetables, but I do like the flowers. So this year they tried a Rudbeckia or a black-eyed Susan, and that's the variety of Rudbeckia is kind of one of my favorite flowers, and I have a lot of that in my yard because it's kind of a plant it and forget it type of thing, and it is a very showy flower. So this year the clear winner was a cappuccino, and as you can see, it goes from gold to kind of a brownish, kind of, that coffee colored flavor. And it went up against the Denver Daisy, the Autumn Frost, Cherry Brandy, Orange Fudge, and then the Chimney. And so out of curiosity, I went and looked at some of them and the different colors of them. So much like the Cherry Brandy states, it's going to be more of a burgundy magenta colored flower. The Orange Fudge is not going to have as much of the brown in it. It's going to be more orange. And the one that I thought was really cute out of this variety was the Chimney. When I looked up at that plant, it really stands if you're a Mary Poppins fans and you went chimney, chim-chim-chiroo. It kind of looks like the chimney cleaner that Dick Van Dyke used to walk around on his shoulder as he'd be walking along with Mary Poppins. So it's a really cool, fun flower. So again, Rudbeckia, it's a great flower. And the nice thing about it is it's a great pollinator plant for your garden too. So, put it in your butterfly garden, to bring in pollinators for your garden. And last but not least, we've got the nasturtium. And this is a cherry rose. And it went up against a jewel cherry rose, a baby rose, Alaska raspberry, and a ladybird rose. So a lot of these rose-colored colors in it. Now, one thing I don't know if you know, but nasturtiums are actually edible besides being very colorful in your garden. And they're a very peppery flower. You can use them to put on your salads, to kind of decorate them, bring a little color, a little fanciness to it, but it's also something that you can eat. And you can have either a trailing plant or a bushy plant. It's a rapid grower, and it actually is very beneficial to your garden. You can plant it, use it as a companion plant. You can plant it along with green beans. It helps fix any nitrogen deficiency in your soil. Beans are kind of a heavy nitrogen feeder out of your garden. You can plant it with broccoli, cabbage, and cauliflower because it's a great pest repellent. And you can plant it with tomatoes because it will also help repel, aphids and stuff for your against your tomatoes. So, in a nutshell, these are the new things that we can look forward to if you want to try something new for your garden. It's been kind of fun to really start getting into the garden mode these days and start looking at things. Seed catalogs, like I said, are starting to come in the mail. I'm seeing, ads for little seed starting greenhouse setups for your house if that's what you want to do. People are getting ready to do winter sowing. So the mode is up there that people are getting ready for it. Like I said, the fool spring kind of gets you into that mood, and but now we kind of have to take a step back and kind of wait. But it still gives us a great time to plan. So again, I thank you for joining us today and tuning in, and I wish you lots of success in these coming months. And, reach out to the Master Gardeners. We're always there to answer your questions. And, or if you just want to sit and have a cup of coffee and just talk about gardening, we can do that too. So I bid you adieu for another episode and the ending of What's Growin On. And you guys, happy digging.